Welcome back everybody. Today we're gonna play Chamber on Icebox. Today is day 170 of playing every agent on every map. Today's agent Chamber has recently had a pretty big buff. His trip is no longer range deactivated, so you can basically place it wherever you want, and then you can go in a different spot and it will never go out, and you will always have information over that. I think this makes a Chamber a pretty strong agent. He's still not quite as good as most of the other Sentinels, but he can still be pretty good, for example, as a flank watch, or in general just to have some information over a certain area of the map. Also, his TP is the strongest TP in the game, and he is a pretty good AWP agent, so if you like playing the AWP, I would recommend you play a Chamber. Starting off with A-side defense. On A-side defense, and in general a pretty good thing on a Chamber, is to place your trip right here in the link area, so nobody will be able to come through the mid, and you will have an easy chance of getting the information over that. This is especially strong since Chamber doesn't have a restriction anymore on his trip, so you can go basically wherever you want, and then you can still have your trip active, controlling so nobody can go through tube into the kitchen area. This is one thing I recommend you do almost every round with a Chamber, either trap tube or trap here under if you're trying to play mid, to stop anyone from pushing through under tube or in tube itself into kitchen. This trip is a pretty strong one. Other than that, on the A side, in general what you do with a Chamber is to play off angles. It is a pretty strong thing to play a lot of different off angles. One I really like is to place your TP over here, and then in the beginning of the round I go on this rope, I ask for somebody to shoot my dart, then I jump up here and just hold the people from coming in here. This can also be done with a sheriff, or like with your chamber gun. Same thing also with an AWP. Or you can even hold this angle right here, which is a pretty uncommon angle. Most people don't really expect it. You can get a kill and then just TP out. This can be pretty strong and make it pretty hard for the enemies to take this space. Another angle that I really like, and a lot of people like on a Chamber, is one like this. Pre-round you TP up here, and then you place your TP either back here. Back here you don't really have a way of getting out, or you can kind of jump around the corner and place a TP like this. This TP, if you get it all the way perfectly, will be behind the corner and will allow you to TP away pretty safely, and then you can hold this angle. This angle is even better if you have an AWP, just holding this angle, waiting for the enemies to come in, shooting, and then getting out, then even recalling your TP, and waiting for the people on belt to come. This can be a pretty strong thing, especially then re-peeking again is a thing I really like doing, kind of waiting for the enemies to walk in and then getting a kill like that. Another play that I really like is one like this, where I go all the way close here, I ask my teammate to shoot the dart, I go here, either hold this or peek out this, shoot and then TP back. Make sure that I'm able to TP back in a pretty safe way, and also makes it pretty hard for the enemies to guess where I'm at. This is a risky thing, but it can work pretty well. Other than that, a lot of different things that you can do is to place a TP all the way back here, and then play down here, also up here, also in this headshot angle, TPing out to a pretty safe spot. In general, it makes it pretty easy for you to play in a lot of different places. Another spot that I think is pretty underrated, especially on an AWP, is spot on top of these boxes, where you just wait for somebody in lane to walk in, shoot and then TP out like this, with a TP that is placed here on the rafters area. Or playing on the common off angle spots, for example here, holding people that are coming up belt. Same thing also with the spot right here, where you're playing all the way on the edge, making sure that you don't fall off. Further out, you can get pretty far out, and then you can hold the same angle or a similar angle on the enemies that are coming in, get a kill like that. Same thing also if you're playing, for example, on top of here, even here, and then TPing back. All of these angles are pretty strong and make it pretty hard for the enemies to come in. For your ults, I just recommend to use it as an AWP, like for example, if you either have a Vandal or a Phantom, or if you have a close range weapon, like for example Stinger, you can use your AWP for a long distance, and just in general use it on eco rounds. If you try to play mid, what you can also do with a Chamber trip is something like this. Kind of get information over the A side. It's not the greatest thing, but you can do it pretty well. I would not recommend this trip most of the times, but it can give you some information over people coming towards A. It is dodgeable if the people are walking past this side all the way at the wall, and it is not in general a great trip, so just tripping mid is what you do most of the times, or even tripping B can work out pretty well. But if you decide to play mid, you can also just trip, for example, B and then play mid yourself with a TP right here, and then jumping down here, holding either this off angle or even peeking into mid with an AWP is really strong, especially if you have your ult, or on the second round even with an outlaw or a marshal, waiting for the enemies to come in, get a kill and then TP out like that, and then maybe even going here, holding in tube, just making sure nobody can come through here, and even if they put up an orb, you can just kind of even push through, or wait here close, wait for the orb to drop. Is in general a pretty strong thing. But I also recommend that you do, if you have, for example, your ult, you can play, for example, a stinger, have your ult out, TP out, and then hold the people here close with a stinger, maybe even peek out, get another kill, even without TPing out. Like that, you can get a lot of space in it. What you can do sometimes, but that is pretty risky and can only be done by a few agents, especially if you have, for example, an Omen, is to place a TP up here. Your Omen smokes mid pretty high up, so you can TP up. They kind of hold the people from top here, but it is in general not the greatest thing that you can do, and you will also take fall damage if you jump down all the way at the highest point. And in general, it's not a great idea. You can do it sometimes to throw the enemies off, or to kind of have a play the enemies don't really expect, but most of the times it's not really worth it. Now switching over towards B, and I told you B you can pretty much hold with one singular trip. A trip like this will hold all of the B main space, making it pretty easy for you to get information over that area. So if you're playing mid, just place this trip right here, hold mid yourself, and you have information over all of it. What I also really like doing, and it is a pretty common play on a chamber, and most of the time it's gonna get expected by the enemies, is to place a TP right there, and then you go all the way up here, either from this angle, or even further up here, even behind these boxes, maybe even further up, and hold this angle. Have a pretty good information over the people that are playing on the B side and are trying to get into B, and then you can TP out to relative safety, maybe even re-peek a little bit later. Using a TP up here, and then kind of using a second TP all the way back there, holding back there, or even holding here, waiting for the enemies to come in and get a kill like that, is in general a pretty good idea. And this spot right here as a chamber is a pretty strong one. It is also still pretty expected, so just expect if the enemies are coming towards B, there's going to be a Sova drone trying to ping you out, and you need to have kind of somebody to destroy it. This can be done, for example, with a Sova throwing a shock dart in here, same thing also with a Viper molly, to kind of get the person out of the drone and not really give them any information over this area. And then you can just TP out, hold the people here, and get kills like that. You can also use a Vandal for that. In general, I recommend a AWP, however, it is just stronger. And now to the last play. This one is kind of a risky one, but it can work out sometimes as well. It is to play in this off angle, just on the edge of the TP circle, waiting for the enemies to come in, get a kill like that, and then TP back towards yellow, or even towards main. But in main, you would have to have the TP here, and this TP is just in general not that great of a TP. It allows you to play in this close corner here, but if you TP out, you're so in the open and you're so easy to get killed by an enemy, it's most of the time not really worth it. Other than that, playing on high ground is a pretty good idea, or even playing with a TP back there, and then playing either over here, waiting for the enemies to come in, or even playing all the way back here, maybe even behind yellow, holding the people that are coming here, holding the people that are coming here, and then TPing out towards backside can be pretty strong. You can also place, if you place your TP all the way at the edge, you can play in this place here, even peek out here, maybe even go a little bit behind, get a kill, and then TP out. Can be pretty good, but most of the times it's going to be a pretty risky thing to do, just playing here, because you can only hold either this or this side, and if you have another teammate that is holding with you, this can be worth it, but other than that, you're just kind of forced to look both sides, and you have a hard time holding this area. And now switching over towards attack. And on attack, a trip that is surprisingly strong, and a lot of people don't really use it, is this trip right here. It will cover your mid area, so the people that are coming through mid are gonna get detected by this trip. Same thing also with most of the people that are coming through the B space. They can go all the way up here and kind of dodge the trip, but as long as they don't really see it and you place it around the corner, they're just gonna walk up here, they will be able to hear the trip, and then it is already too late and they will get detected by it. Other than that, the usual trip that you're going to use is one right here, kind of not giving the enemies space to go past this side. You can kind of jump around this corner, and the trip will only be able to detect them for a millisecond. And this trip also gets shot pretty often by people peeking out of tube, or even people peeking out of under if you place it a little further behind, giving you more information, but also getting a trip shot earlier. Or the other option for a trip, or a thing I really like doing, is to place a trip here on B to get the information over people pushing B, and then I myself play towards mid with either TP here, trying to lurk into the mid area, and then kind of holding the mid area as well if my team is going A, and then waiting for my team to actually have planted, or just for a good timing for me to be able to lurk behind them. And my trip will hold all of the flank area, and I will hold all of the mid area, and nobody can kind of push us from behind. Other options that you have to kind of hold flank is to just place a trip here, but this trip is not really that great. It gets seen pretty easily, and you can also just walk all the way around here and then go over belt, not really giving you that much information. So in general, place it either here to get information over people pushing from mid if you're going towards A, or if you're going towards B, it's pretty easy, just place a trip here. Or if you're going A and you have the trip on B, you can also just lurk in mid to get information over all of these areas. Now talking about the actual side takes, most of the times as a chamber you're not going to be the one that is actively taking the side, but if you are kind of using a chamber as a second entry, you can use a TP up there and then clear out the close corners and have a pathing like this throughout the site, clearing out all of the corners, and then even being able to go for a plant and then TPing out, playing a good post plant. This is also possible if you place your TP on the other side here. You will not be able to take as much space, but you can go all the way up here, even hold from behind gen, and hold the people that are coming out of rafters from pretty safe space, and make it pretty hard for them to kind of come in here again. And then you can just TP out to safety and play post plant. Other than that, there's not really that much you can do on a chamber. Just a thing that I recommend doing if you don't have too much money and your team is on an eco, just play your chamber gun, don't buy any weapons, so you will have more money on the next round, because your chamber gun is basically a guardian with only 8 shots. It does less damage, but it is still pretty accurate, and you can just hold the enemies as they are trying to, for example, peek bottom mid, get a kill like that. Same thing also with other common angles where they are pushing. Especially if you have enemies that really like pushing, just holding angles with a chamber headhunter is in general a pretty good idea, especially on eco runs. I already kind of showed you mid. Mid is mainly for lurking. You can also take mid with a TP like this. I would recommend a smoke here, and then you can use a TP on top of the tube, go into tube yourself, maybe even peek out, destroy the turret, and then TP out. And then you are on top of the cube, making it pretty hard for the enemies to kind of figure out where you are at. You just TP it back, and then they don't really expect you up here, and you can get some kills on the people that are, for example, on B. Or same thing also with the people that are rotating through their spawn. Same thing also with people here. But you're also open to a lot of different angles, for example, from kitchen. If you're going all the way up, you're open from the people that are playing on B, on mid, also the people that are playing on the pallet area here in mid as well. So always be a little bit careful if you're going for that play. And now switching over to SB, and on B, this trip, and then most of the times you're just going to use your TP either here, allowing you to go out of this space here close, clearing out these close boxes, maybe even clearing out this close corner, and if there is anyone there or you don't feel safe anymore, you can TP back, or you can save your TP and place it on top here, maybe even on top here. This one is not really the greatest one, but it can work sometimes as well, or even all the way in front here, and then it allows you to play clear out yellow, even play behind yellow, kind of finding the people that are coming snowmen, disrupting the enemies that are trying to go for a kill on your planter, and then even TP back to relative safety, being able to peek out from here and get kills like that. In general, especially if you have your AWP, I recommend playing B or playing A, but really slowly, or even just holding mid with your AWP, waiting for the enemies to walk in and get a kill like that is a pretty strong idea. Or what you can also do is to let your Sova drone, or if you don't have a Sova, let your Fade drone, or just anyone. You use some util so you can get on an angle, waiting for the enemies to re-peek you, and just hold them with your AWP, making it pretty easy for you to get a kill like that, and then holding the enemies like that in a pretty simple way. If I had to give Chamber a rating from S to F, I'd actually give him the A tier. I was deliberating on putting him in the B tier because I don't really think Chamber is that strong of an agent. I think Killjoy is just in general better, but still his TPs are pretty strong. Also his trip now no longer being range deactivated makes him a pretty good pick, even though you can't really hold all of the flank area with a chamber. But still, his trip is pretty good, and also his ability to TP out from most situations where most agents can't really get away from, and also being able to play really aggressive on defense and on attack makes him a pretty decent pick that can be used on Icebox pretty well. That would be it from me. If you want to see any other agent on any other map, write it down in the comments, and if you want to see anything else Valorant related, write it down there as well. And as always, don't forget to like and sub, and come say hi to me on Twitch, where I stream almost daily. Have a great rest of your day, and see you guys very soon. Bye!